Today we are happy to have Michael Labout from Colorado Springs as part of our meeting today. Michael served as chairman of the National Association of Realtors Committee who helped create the C2EX program. And he has some information on the program to share with us. Michael?
I'm going to talk a little bit about C2EX and sort of what it is and sort of how it started. So 100 years ago, we pioneered a path to professionalism in our industry, so the code of ethics that we still live for and strive for today. But now we've really started a new revolution with the creation of the Commitment to Excellence platform, or as James said, C2EX. It's a platform designed to be an individual, self-directed career journey for you to gain knowledge and resources to help realtors in being more knowledgeable, more professional, and a better resource to their clients and customers. And it's about reinforcing good behaviors and identifying bad behaviors or opportunities for improvement. And I think when I talk to people, I always say, I know that some of you in the audience will say, well, I don't need this, but I sure know somebody who does. The reality is, I think all of us can really benefit from this, whether you're new in the business or whether you've been in the business like I have for 30 plus years. We really tried to design this so that it would be effective for everybody and that everybody could gain something from it. It empowers realtors to enhance and showcase their highest levels of professionalism, and it provides them an advantage in our highly competitive market, which we know that is, and leading the way in improving the consumer perception of realtors. So one of the things that we talked about when we first started this was the perception of a realtor and what we do sometimes with the consumer is not always the best. So we wanted to really raise the bar. We wanted to be able to give guidance and education specifically to realtors to make them better at what they do so they can better help their clients and customers. It was designed by realtors for realtors to be used on your own time, on your own terms, and to be mobile friendly and accessible on any device at your own pace and to reach your greatest potential. So I'll give you just a little bit of a background where this started. In 2014, President Steve Brown started a realtor, defining the Realtor of the Future PAG. And some of you may remember that. Some of you may not know anything about it. But that's when it started, and there were many members on that PAG, including myself. And he asked us to be bold and to really look to the future and what makes a great realtor and how is the Realtor of the Future going to act and going to be able to transact business and work with clients and customers. So since that period of time, that particular PAG came out with numerous recommendations that were accepted by the leadership team and then brought to the board of directors. The original concept was for it to be a code of excellence, similar to the code of ethics. But that was ended up changed over the next couple of years. And then in 2016, we came forward with a proposal in concept to develop the Commitment to Excellence. And we worked on it since. And then we launched the platform in November of 2018. And I was lucky enough to be chair at that point in time. So it's come a long way. And I think, Colleen, you have a slide thing I think you're going to pull up, right? Okay. Hey, how about that?
Look at that.
Okay. There you go. So specialized training, assessment recognition, professional growth, really a market advantage. And this talks a little bit about, again, we launched it in 2018. This says we have 58,700. We actually have over 61,000 members participating. And what does that mean, participating? That means that they've logged on to the system and they've taken at least one assessment and they've started their journey. So a lot of them may be well on their way and through a lot of it, and some of them they have just started. I will tell you that we saw a lot during the whole stay-at-home portion of our lives over the last several months, where we could really see, and it was, I think, a tremendous benefit that realtors, if they weren't out showing houses or couldn't show houses or whatever, they were improving themselves and they were working on their learning and working on their C2EX, which was fantastic. This shows we have 9,700. We actually have now over 10,000 members that have received the endorsement. And I'll talk a little bit more later on about what the endorsement is. We've won numerous awards, and the first one was the Learning 100 Award. That was in 2019. And we just found out that we won the 2020 Brandon Hall Award of Excellence, a gold and a bronze award. And I'll tell you why that is so significant, because this particular organization looks at e-learning basically, separate from regular classroom or anything else. And during this period of time, there were numerous companies and associations and all kind of groups that had to look at going towards e-learning because they couldn't get together. So the competition this year, actually, not that we set out for this, but the competition was incredibly intense because of all the things that have changed and the way that people are learning and working these days. So being able to win these awards, I think, was pretty cool. So it talks about mobile friendly, and I don't know if you can see me, but hopefully you can see me. Can you see me now?
Yep.
Okay. So you can use this program on, and it was designed specifically to be used on any device. So you can use it on your phone, you can use it on your tablet or your computer, whatever you want. There is specific instructions if you need to be able to pull it up where you can pull it up as an icon on like your iPhone, for example. If you look right down here, it's called like a web app. So we didn't design, and we had a lot of people at first say, are you going to have an app? We do not have an app, and the reason we don't have an app is because we want you to be able to use this on anything, and for you to be able to go into the system and work, and then if you stop and you have to go do business or work or show a house or write a contract, whenever you pull it back up, whether it's even on a different device, you can go right back into where you left off. So it's very, very beneficial that way. We have people all the time that say, how long does this take to do? If I go through and start this, how long is it probably going to take for me to complete it? Again, it's a journey. It varies from different people. If you probably have more experience in the business, it might take you a little bit less than someone who's brand new, but anybody can basically benefit from this. And so we've had a lot of people report that it takes about a couple weeks from start to finish, if they really work at it. That's not working at it, 10 hours a day. But if they're working towards learning and doing the tasks and the learning. Also, this is of no additional cost. This is a member benefit, and that was extremely important when we started this, that we wanted to be able to open this up to all realtors without any barriers to entry. And so it is a member benefit, and it's of no additional cost to you. So we're going to talk a little bit about the C2EX competencies, and this was part that was approved by the board of directors in concept in 2016, and what we based the program off of. And this may change, and we may add to this in the future, but right now this is what we have. So the first is real estate law, about being current and knowledgeable in the laws and regulations that affect your business, affects the different disciplines that realtors work in, whether it's residential or property management or commercial, and really about their community in general. The second is code of ethics. Understanding the code of ethics is truly a living and breathing document. If you look back at the history of the code of ethics in NAR, we have continued to change that and to add things throughout the years. And it's, business change, lots of things change. So we have added to that. And right now, the learning on the code of ethics focuses primarily on Article 1, but we're working on enhancements to include even more about the code of ethics. And we'll talk a little bit about the code of ethics training and how this benefits you as well. Number 3, providing additional services that are consistent with Article 10 of the Code of Ethics, training about discrimination and fair housing issues and practices, which is extremely important, I think has been very, very timely as well. 4 is advocacy. So the importance of advocating for private property rights and for home ownership, for working with rights within your community, your state, your nation, and training about the realtor party, why that's so important, and the importance of voting, the importance of investing in RPAC, and being involved in advocacy is extremely important to our business. Trust and integrity, acknowledging and valuing the honesty and integrity are fundamental to our business and fundamental to realtors being known as a trusted advisor to a consumer. And technology, this is one thing where I talk about normally when I took ePro years and years ago when it first came out, that they taught us how to use email and how to use folders in email. So technology has changed dramatically since then, and it is always changing and always evolving. And we want to be on the forefront of that and be able to train our realtors to use the highest and best tools that they can in their business, doing what works and doing what really benefits your clients and customers. Safeguard and privacy. Data privacy has been incredibly important and is even more important now. Keeping up to date on laws and regulations, governing data privacy and security, taking appropriate steps to guard clients and customers' data, as well as real estate companies and brokerages. And committing yourself to areas of practice that you specialize in and engage in on a daily basis. So the majority of our members are residential realtors, but one of the things that we are working on, and we had to start with the residential portion primarily, because that just made the most sense to be able to reach the most and have the most benefit to the most members. But we're working on things specifically for property management, for commercial real estate, for the other disciplines that we're involved in. And then providing superior client and customer service, what makes you stand out, what brings real value to a customer, what makes the customer say, wow, this person is really professional and is really benefiting my experience in the real estate industry. And so buying and selling real estate or transferring real property. Professional reputation, appreciating that courtesy, timely communication, and cooperation are really fundamental to facilitating a successful real estate transaction. Hopefully developing an impeccable professional reputation and utilizing many of the things that we saw in the pathways to professionalism with respect for the public, respect for private property, and respect for our own peers. And then there's also one specifically for brokers or a principal of a real estate company, where you can work on creating and maintaining an environment that promotes excellent customer service and standards within your brokerage. And there's a lot of benefits to brokers, which we can talk a little bit more about in the future if you want to. So it starts with an assessment, and this is different than probably any other online type platform that you've ever done, where this isn't a test, but there's usually 3 to 4, maybe 5 or 6 questions on each particular discipline or each particular competency that it will go through, and it will ask you questions and you answer those questions. So based upon your answers, it may find out that there's things that you really know and probably don't need a lot of work on, but there's other things that you probably maybe need some work on and need some more information, and it will tailor a program that is specifically for you. So it is completely individual. No two are going to be the same. And based upon the assessment, it will measure your proficiency and it will come up with learning and tasks specifically for you. So here's an example of an assessment. And I can't, can I see? I can read it. There we go. If you look at after the assessment, it came up with a learning plan. And if you look, you can see the yellow exclamation mark. There, after you do an assessment and it comes up with the learning and tasks that it recommends, there are certain things that are mandatory, basically, that you have to go through to complete the program. And then there are other things that are optional. And I tell people all the time that just because it's not mandatory doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. If your goal is to truly be committed to excellence and truly be more proficient in your industry and better serve your clients and customers, take a look at all of the things, not just the ones that are required, because you will gain knowledge. I've had so many agents come to me and people that I've known, that have been in the business for 30 some years that have said, you know what, I knew this was going to be good. And, based upon all the work that NAR put into this, and as long as it took to be able to do this, but I didn't realize how good it was. And even after being a realtor for 30 years, thinking that I knew everything, I learned so much out of this program, which is really what we hoped would happen. Go ahead. There are 2 basic things when you go through the platform. One of them is the learning, the required or the optional learning. The other is tasks. And one of the things that people seem to have gotten hung up a little bit on is they go through all the learning and they think that they're done, and they're not. And that's because there are some required tasks and there's optional tasks as well. So when you go through it, if you look at the top of the screen in the upper right-hand corner, there's a help button, and there's lots of videos and things that will help you if you get to a point where you're stuck or you can't figure out how to go on. It's really a very easy platform to be able to use. We try to make it as easy as possible, no matter who you are, no matter what your proficiency is with computers and phones and all of that. But one of the things specifically is you got to make sure you look at not only the learning, but also the tasks. A lot of things with the program are there as a benefit to you as a member and as a realtor, not necessarily mandatory, but can be very beneficial. And one of them is surveys, where you can use canned pre-done surveys, or you can change them and you can customize them specifically. So after an open house, which I don't think we have very many open houses these days, it seems like, but after a showing or a closing, or after you did a transaction with a client or customer or another realtor, you can send them a short survey that's like 4 or 5 questions. When you do that, you can go through that survey yourself and answer how you think you did based upon that survey. And then you can send it to the client or customer or the realtor, and it will come back to you to see how they think you did, which is really a great opportunity for learning. You may have thought that you were fantastic at communication, and you get something back that says, you know, it really would have been a good idea to hear from you a little bit more often. So hopefully that's something that you can learn from, and you can be more, be better at, and work to strive to improve that in the future. There's also a library with resources and materials, and this is one of the things I think is just so unbelievable. There are so many times that we need information or certain things and we can't find it, and you go to nar.realtor or realtor.org, it used to be, whatever, and you're looking and you search and you can't find it. Trust me, there are so many things available in this library, and I've had people say, oh my gosh, I've been looking for this for the last year and I've never been able to find it, but it's there. So the other thing that is beneficial is that you as like a broker for a company or an association can add to that library. So if there's things that are specific to New Mexico or specific to Santa Fe or Albuquerque or Alamogordo, for example, that association or a broker can add things to that library. Lots of videos, lots of things that are very helpful. So once you go through the platform and you've completed the required learning and the required tasks for all of the competencies, then you would receive your endorsement. That doesn't necessarily mean you're done. That means you've completed the first part of the program, and you have the ability to show that you are an endorsed realtor for commitment to excellence. And so we weren't originally going to do any certificates or anything like that, because this really isn't a course. It's not a class. It's not a credential. It's really a lifelong journey of learning, professional growth. It's not a one and done. It is, new content will be consistently added. In fact, we're going through right now and working on adding a lot of new content that hopefully will be up and running by next year for people to re-engage with the platform. But we found that people really wanted something that they showed that, hey, I've done this and I'm committed to excellence. And so we're like, okay, that's fine. So we did a certificate that you can print and frame in your office and put it up on the wall like all the other stuff you have. But it's really a great opportunity to be able to talk with clients and customers about what that is. So there's lots of material available. This shows you, the Commitment to Excellence Pledge, which is available, which you can use in your marketing. You can use, in listing appointments or working with buyers or whatever. That really helps to explain to them what this is, the path that you are on, the journey that you've undertaken, and why that's important to them. So also appears on realtor.com. So one of the benefits we have is because of our association with realtor.com, we have that ability to be able to add that. And so once you receive your endorsement, it'll show up on that as well. So there's administration dashboard for brokers. And if you're a broker or principal of a company, There's lots of things you can do for your agents. You can go in and put in specific information that you want them to do or learn. You can watch their progress. You can use this as a training tool and give them suggested learning or tasks to do. You can use it for branding as well, so that when your agents pull up the C2EX platform, it comes up with your company name or logo, whatever on it. So big, huge benefit. There are also, we have webinars specifically for brokers, and we do those about every month or two, and they're recorded. So if you're a broker that wasn't in on the last webinar, but you're interested in that, you can go through and watch the whole thing, even if it wasn't live. And if you have, I have emails and stuff at the end for you to be able to contact if you're interested in that. So earning and maintaining your C2EX endorsement, it fulfills your Code of Ethics requirement for 2021. And last year I chaired a PAG specifically about the Code of Ethics and our training that we do. And we came back with 6 recommendations, and 5 of those were approved by the leadership team, and 1 of them went to the board of directors. A lot of the things that we recommended, the leadership team felt was made sense, and they were able to put that into policy immediately. And one of those was, if you get your endorsement for C2EX, then you basically have fulfilled your Code of Ethics requirement. So we used to have the 4-year quadrennial education, and then it went to 2 years. And one of the things we heard from a lot of realtors, from a lot of brokers, and a lot of associations, is that was just really too quick. It was hard for everybody to get through. It was really taxing on the associations. And one of the things we looked at was what makes sense. We don't want this to be punitive. We want this to be beneficial, not that you just have to take it, but that you're going to learn from it. And one of the benefits of C2EX is you're not only learning more about the Code of Ethics, but you're really learning more about everything that makes you more successful and better in your everyday business as a realtor. So we changed it to a 3-year. Now that looks like stroke of genius, I think, after what's gone on in 2020, because I'm sure associations would be having a really hard time, can't do in-person classes and things like that. But the new deadline is now every 3 years, so it will be the end of 2021. But if you get your C2EX endorsement, you are set for this learning cycle. So there's lots of things that you can do. You can go into your dashboard. You can click to be updated via email. The dashboard, if you need to go to anything, there's what we call it a hamburger menu. In the upper left-hand corner, there are like 3 lines. You can click on that. You can go to different parts of the program. So this just gives you a little bit more information about other things that you can do, and how to stay up to date, and how to communicate back and forth within the platform. So your challenge, we have the C2EX challenge, and that's what this is all about, I think, for you guys, for the New Mexico. If you earn your endorsement between June 1st and October 1st, you can be part of the challenge. So even if you've started, you can continue it and you can earn your endorsement, or you can start now. I'm going to let them talk a little bit more about that specifically to New Mexico. But we are having I'll tell you what is amazing to me is that we're seeing as many people as we are that are going into the program and starting the program. And this is not a mandatory thing. There was a lot of people that wanted to make it mandatory, but you can't necessarily mandate excellence. That needs to be a voluntary thing. So here's how to get started. You can go to c2ex.realtor. And again, any web browser, whether you're on a Mac or whether you're on a Windows machine, whatever, that will get you to the platform. You log in specifically just as you would if you were logging into NAR.realtor, which is the NAR page. So it's the same login. If you don't have that, it's pretty easy to do. You can create an account. If you've got questions, we have a fantastic staff. Casey Stewart, Courtney Jones, and Steve, I can't remember his last name now, work specifically with C2EX. And they monitor email. They're available if you have questions, if you need help. You can download additional marketing materials and additional information, see more videos about the program. I know there's a video that we thought about showing, but I've seen that video like 100,000 times, and so I'm sort of glad you didn't show it. But if you want to go see it, it's on that webpage as well. but NAR.realtor C2EX to get more information. So I'm done for now. I'll just mute, and then if you guys have questions and comments and I can help at all, I'm happy to.
Thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate you taking time out from your busy day, and it was much better than watching a video for sure. Thank you. So let's hear from some of the New Mexico recipients, realtors that have received their C2EX endorsement. Let's start with Kent Simpson from Las Cruces.
In the beginning is I saw that this would be extremely valuable for a new agent. Not only does it get into things like RESPA, Code of Ethics, but it also touches on things you need to know as a realtor that go beyond what you learned in licensing class. And some brokers teach you what you need to know. Some brokers throw you straight into the fire and say, go out and list a house. I learned it the hard way, but as an experienced realtor, what I found really valuable with it was being able to utilize the platform as kind of a stepping stone or a checklist for refreshing on a lot of things. And I still go back to it this day, and I'm finding more and more content and more things. It's like, oh yeah, I need to check up on that. And I'm one of those dive deep learners. I don't feel I know anything until I've just jumped in and saturated my brain until it hurts. And this is a good way for me to make a list of things that I want to jump into. So I'm real happy with it. And it's interesting watching it grow as time goes. And it's fun to check back in on it. Thanks for all your hard work on it, Michael.
Thank you for presenting today, Kent. We appreciate you. Thank you, sir. Next, we have Debbie Rogers from Silver City. And there are a few questions on the chat. We'll make sure to look at most of those and answer them once we get through our speakers, you guys. So keep asking them if you want. Go ahead, Debbie.
Okay, I just want to say that I found it easier to work with it on my phone than I did on the computer. I don't know, I just felt like there were times that I would go kind of going in circles and trying to figure out where I was, and I just found that once I started working on it on my phone, it just was an easier thing for me to follow through and find out, go on to the next thing. And I don't know what the difference was, but for me, that was very helpful to work with it on my phone. And it is a great program. I compliment Michael for chairing and putting this all together, because it was a huge job, but I think it's been a great improvement for our industry.
Thank you, Debbie. And that's what I found too with my phone. It was easiest because it's hard to drive your computer into your bed with you. So I spent, several 30 minutes, 45 minutes at night. I would do that to unwind before I went to bed. And it was definitely informative. It's a great product, you guys. So next we have Damon Maddox from Albuquerque.
Thanks, James. Yeah, I got into the program when it was released in DC. I love it. It helps, gives me something to do while I'm waiting around for showings. I pop open the app, and if they're taking a while to get there, go through some things. Almost everybody in my office now is close to now completing it. So I challenged all of them.
Awesome.
And my dad's brokerage as well. So he's still got a few slackers on that side that haven't quite gotten through it yet, but he's working on his. So we've got a little challenge between the two companies to see who can have all their agents complete it first.
Nice. Awesome, Damon. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for presenting, and we hope we've inspired everyone else to be committed to excellence. To get started, register at C2EX.realtor. Every New Mexico Associations of Realtor member who begins their C2EX program between September 15th and October 15th. So did you hear that, you guys? You just need to get on and register and begin. It doesn't mean you have to complete. Of course, we want all of you to complete. And the other important thing is, as some of you mentioned today, it is a great tool. You go back to this. Who cares if you get your endorsement? You keep using this thing. They're going to add stuff in the future. There's a lot of modules in there that aren't required. So I encourage as well to just definitely keep going back to this and use it. It's a great tool. So the deadline has been extended to the 15th. So everyone who gets signed up will be entered in a drawing for a $100 gift card. Over 200 NMAR members have already registered, begun their program, and any new registrant who completes their program and receives their endorsement between September 15th and October 15th will also be entered in another drawing for a $100 gift card. Member boards are also included in our challenge. The board with the highest percentage of registrants between September 15th and October 15th will receive a $200 Realtor Team Store gift certificate. So these are great things, you guys. Hope everybody gets to sign up. Is there any further questions? We have a couple on the chat. So I know Damon answered one.
Actually,
So they just want to make sure the presentation will be uploaded to the internet after we're done. Is that the case, Colleen or
Yeah,
Sue?
I'm going to email to everybody who registered and who's here today, and then I'll also post it on the C2EX landing pad webpage there for you guys.
Awesome. And any help or anything you guys need from me, just ask. I'm here as well to help out for sure. So any further questions from our group?
I think Todd has a question. He wants,
Okay.
could you expand on the commercial real estate content?
I'm
Maybe
deferring
that's
that
to
to
Michael.
Michael.
Sure. Yeah. So again, when we first started this, we had to, we couldn't do everything at once. And I remember when I presented to executive committee and everything, I said, we are in version 1.0000000. Okay. So just being able to launch this for the first time and having what we had there, it's the very first iteration and part of it. So we are currently working on additional modifications specifically for commercial, for property management, for a variety of things. There's a lot of things in there that would apply to a commercial broker, not just a residential broker. One of the things that we've looked at is that we may have some specific competencies specifically for a commercial broker, but it's an ongoing developing thing. So we actually did have a couple commercial people come to us and say, you know what, this is a lot more valuable for me as a commercial broker than I ever thought it was going to be. And so that's good news. There's a lot of things that are in there that are not just specifically residential, but yes, we are working on that, working on additional things on all the competencies. And the program was designed so that once you receive your endorsement, you'll have to continue to re-engage with that. Originally, it was looked at, we were going to do that every 2 years. We changed that to every 3 years. And now that's worked out well with the code of ethics change for education-wise and stuff like that. So if you received your endorsement in the first 3 years, basically, so anytime 19, 20, 21, you'll need to re-engage and sort of get re-endorsed after, when it started 22 or whenever in there. But one of the challenges we've had a little bit of with our vendor, working with our vendor, is that they are working on things, but they are also working at home and this and that in Chicago. And so some things have not happened as quickly as we would like. We're working through that and we're working towards it, but that's, like everything else, 2020 has been different. So that's where we are.
Okay. Well, thank you, Michael, again. Any other questions, you guys? So everybody, I hope you're ready to make your commitment to excellence today. Make sure to visit the C2EX.Realtor website and get started. Thank you for all being here and hope you have a great week. Thank you.